Alright, response video to I think Ron Paul is smart. Idiot. Period. New sentence. Yeah, it's just hard to know how to respond to this kind of shit, because obviously he's a symptom, you know, he's pointing to the disease that is infecting a lot of people, this philosophy of, you know, simplicity. Let's just try to make everything overly simple, and that'll solve all our problems. And all right, so let's just get on with it. I mean, he called me something or other. I don't know. You know, everybody has to have this terminology, this fucking terminology for what their philosophy is. You know, even the anarchists, they got 4,000 flavors of anarchy, and it's just insane. But anyway, I'm a civilizationalist. Okay, I mean, I believe in civilization, and what civilization does, this is sort of how you can look at it conceptually, is that it creates zones. You know what I mean? There's a zone where people live in houses, and then there's a zone where all the factories are, and there's a zone where all the businesses are. That's rational planning. You see, you put the like things in like zones so they don't interfere with each other and destroy each other and corrupt each other and ruin what would be called the quality of one's life. And yes, the public zones, I'm all for there being places for people who have a desire to run around naked. And I think they're called nudist camps and such. And certainly I would give people every right to create such zones, But for most of us, I mean, I think, well, I don't even care if it's most of us. I'm just going to say that I think, logically, under the current circumstances, to go backwards would be stupid. I mean, you made the point that, penises only became shocking because we locked them up. Well, maybe we locked the penises up because they were getting into some goddamn trouble. I mean, maybe that's why they're locked up. Maybe that's why the Muslims have the women covered with all the shit, is because, guess what, they're attractive to men. And men become compelled to do certain things. So anyway, there's only two kinds of nudity for me, repulsive and arousing. And I like it that way. I really do. Yeah, I don't want to see everything, and there's a certain, in societies that have, matured enough to find relationships kind of an important feature, where people do grow into attached relationships. Yeah, it's a kind of a nice gift you give somebody is your intimacy, and it really shouldn't be something that's all over the place. But the worst part of what you say is that you actually endorsed harassment. You said harassment would be perfectly fine. I guess you can't imagine in your own head having children, and that you wouldn't mind your child being harassed, your little 7-year-old girl having, I'm not even going to describe all the things that she would have to, that she would be vulnerable to. She could not go anywhere alone, and you goddamn well know it. It's just idiotic to think that you create a better world by liberating the worst parts of the human animal. And so your naturalist philosophy, it's, bullshit. Nature is bullshit. That I can prove. Nature is for assholes. Maybe you naturalists should be thrown back to nature and have to live in it, and we can all watch the splendor of it. I'd like to put you on Tiger Island, and just, we could have it on a TV show, and we could just watch the natural human beings, survive through the parasites and carnivores. It just, I'd like you to spend a week in real nature. But anyway, fucktard. Alright, so, hey, phone interruption. Yeah, so anyway, civilization means sort of zoning. It means defining some things appropriate in certain circumstances. And, there's certain circumstances where it poses a threat to people's welfare, a threat to their life, even. It's sort of like having laws against speeding. I mean, you could argue that, well, I didn't kill anybody going 300 miles an hour. But obviously it poses a risk. And so liberty has to be there's reasonable restraint. There's no compelling need to lie in a public theater, so why should it be legalized when it poses a threat? Lies they are capable of causing great harm. And your whole argument is so silly. I can just imagine if you were in one of those twin towers when the plane hit, how calm and collected you would be as everybody else filed into the elevator and you slowly strolled your way down the hallway waiting for your turn. Get real. Panic is a syndrome that infects people. It is not a choice. It's idiotic. No one's ever been prosecuted for panicking, and certainly people should be prosecuted for reckless behavior. That's what we're talking about. It is reckless to have to abuse your liberty, and that's just an abuse of liberty. And that's what it all comes down to, is you don't have the and you shouldn't have in a civilized society the right to be malicious, harmful, deceptive. These are all negative human characteristics, and they should be discouraged where and when possible. And like I said, we can create zones where you can be free to be an asshole. I think we ought to have an asshole zone on the internet, and all the spammers can spam each other. They can just spam each other to pieces, and they can have all the freedom in the world. I've even suggested there should be an adult, highway and a child-safe highway, and they can exist in parallel. And there's nothing wrong with creating those different zones, but it is idiotic to say there is no harm in what you are suggesting. There is great harm. People die every year because of fires in theaters, and if we start allowing people to prank, and look, Captain Awesome's does prank videos. Pranks are a part of, unfortunately, some people's psychology. They don't get any fun in life unless they're causing somebody some grief. And to say that is fine is just idiotic. It's not a suspension of your liberty, your free speech rights, to have to be a responsible person, to be respectful of other people's sensibilities, and not just their sensibilities, but their real world vulnerabilities. And we see what happens. We see people, stalkers and the rest of them, they kill people, asshole. People die. And it's idiotic to say you're going to sanction that kind of behavior, because then the whole human race cannot be civilized. And then you can't let your children out of the house. And you can't even yourself wander anywhere without fear. I don't want everybody publicly walking around with guns and C4 in their pocket. I'm not going to walk on those streets because I know it's just too easy. There's too many fucktards in this world, and to give them loaded guns is idiotic. So your philosophy is crap. I really wish we could, do some divvying up of the United States, maybe, as much as I believe in. That would be destructive. I mean, there's such a gross incompatibility. I mean, we really should create worlds for you people to live in, where civilized people can live in one world and you assholes can live in another, because your extremism is idiotic. It's just stupid. It's totally counterproductive. It's just nonsense. And the stuff you advocate and vote for is like I said, I mean, how could anybody take your necrophilia video as a joke? Because all your videos are a joke. They insult intelligence. I mean, voting for Ron Paul is about as bad as having sex with a corpse. The guy's not the future, he's the past. It's, well, anyway. It's just disappointing that you idiots just, you just won't conform to any kind of rational argument. You just won't conform to the rules of reason. You just spout this crap and then force other people to waste time trying to explain to you why the color blue is blue. And it's just stupid.